Hello, this is Bilbo, your Dungeon Master for World of Hearthron. I am actually going to do a book review here of Tales from the Yawning Portal. And I'm pretty excited about this book and actually want to run my players through it eventually. Maybe do some long sessions and run through uh, each of the adventures with the group if possible. The biggest thing is time, just don't have enough time. And I have my campaign that I'm dedicated to with my players, and even have another campaign in the distant future here to start up a new group. And but I would really like to run this. I mean, now I own all the books that have been put out by Wizards of the Coast. I should start running the adventures, even though that's really not my thing. I'm usually homebrew, but I kind of want to do these more for nostalgia, or at least a few of them for nostalgia, and others just to run for an audience. So here we go, the Yawning Portal. I think what I'm going to do first is talk about the negative, and that way I can finish on positive. So first off, I love the book. I love that there's 7 adventures, and really there's 9 adventures, because against the giants, there's 3 adventures there. So some of the things that I'm disappointed with. First, the Yawning Portal. In a sense, here's this tavern, and the Wizards didn't really do a great job of kind of bringing it to life. And I would have rather even seen them do the Green Dragon Inn to pay more homage to the world of Greyhawk and Gary Gygax, since the majority of these adventures come from Greyhawk and from Gary Gygax and his staff back in the 80s. So I'll go through each of these adventures, kind of talking very briefly. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, so if there's players watching, I'm not going to ruin it for your DMs when they run through. I'm just going to kind of give a basic overview of my thoughts on the adventure and so on. So the first adventure in here is called the Sunless Citadel, and this is a great adventure for beginning players and the new DM. This was done by Bruce Cordall back in 2000 with the 3rd edition. And as I said, it's a great adventure for first level characters, new players, a new dungeon master, because it really does a great job of explaining each room, the situations, how does a DM handle each of the rooms. Now, before I go in here, this is where I really think they kind of missed the mark. So as you can see here, the maps on the board here, we're taking up just a small section, and for old guys like myself, trying to read the font on these rooms is going to be super tough. Now, thank goodness for me, I actually own most of these adventures, even though I haven't ran them. I've actually told some of my players, gave a secret away. So here, look at this. The same sense here is the detail on the maps. And even here we have Oakhurst, a map of Oakhurst. You really don't need a map for that. It's great that there's the overlay and such. But why couldn't have they, Wizards of the Coast, done a page layout of the map here? And here's the other version too. Here's the other map of this. And just do a full page layout. Let's see where this next one is. As I go through the book here to find the other map. Yeah, so here it is on this. So they did a better job here. Full page map, perfect. And so that's what I kind of don't understand. And I think Wizards missed the mark, because the one thing is about these old modules here, just like the Sunless Citadel, and then here's the next one right after that, Forge of Fury. The great thing, and this is in the case with all of these adventures, is the maps. I mean, and I'm big into maps. I love maps. My players know that, and so here's Forge of Fury. So I just think Wizards, and I'm not gonna flag through all the different maps in here. And there's great artwork throughout the book, but I just think they could have maybe put in the back of the book the just a whole set of maps, or did an appendix with the maps. And that's where I just think Wizards missed the mark. Hopefully they'll run some PDF out there on the site where you can actually print off the maps in a larger size, a larger font. And like I said, thank goodness I actually own the majority of these adventures, because I've used their maps in the past. I don't know. I know Sunless Citadel takes place in a citadel. I believe there's some kobolds involved or something like that. However, I've never ran it, but I've used the maps for it. And the same thing with Forge of Fury. I know it's a ruined dwarven stronghold, and the same thing. I've used the maps, but I don't know really anything about the adventure. And just because I like the maps in them so much. So Sunless Citadel, like I said, new players or beginning players, first level. The characters should come out about third level, which is a perfect start for Forge of Fury. Forge of Fury is second to third level characters, and can come out of there about fourth to fifth level characters. So if you want to run this kind of back-to-back adventures, you can. And that's kind of my plan. You could definitely implement these into your campaign. The one thing is I'll share this here. And I know some people have done reviews of this already, so you may have already heard this. But what they'll talk about here is the place settings. So where you can set it in Greyhawk, you can set it in Forgotten Realms, Eberron. I think those are the worlds they mentioned. They might mention another as well. So you could do these as side adventures for your groups, or just run them straight through one dungeon after another. I mean, these are dungeon crawls, so I mean, your players, you want to let your players up front know, hey, you're going to go through a dungeon crawl here, or if you're going to go through several of them, or all of them, this is Dungeon Crawl Central. The next adventure here in this is the Hidden Shrine of Tomoachan, or Tomoachan, sorry, designed for 5th level characters. With that adventure, think Raiders of the Lost Ark, filled with fun traps. You better have a thief in the group. This is kind of where we start to get to killer dungeons. This is where characters could die, and that's the one thing where when I start running these with my players, and we're gonna do some long sessions for these, is if I don't want to run my campaigns through it, purely because at this stage you're looking at characters dying in these things. I usually, I guarantee you probably at least one or two player characters, could die in the dungeons that are coming in here. So the Hidden Shrine's one of them. Played it way back in the day, when I was a teenager. And I never DM'd it, but I did play through it, and I do remember some characters dying in that. The next adventure is in here is White Plume Mountain, and this is for 8th level characters. This is one of my favorite dungeons of all time. I ran it years ago when I was a teenager. I own it. I haven't I haven't used it since I was a teenager, and I haven't even used the map since I was a teenager. But I've DM'd it and I played through it as a teenager, and sure enough, as I DM'd it, a couple characters died. And as I played it, the same thing. I think probably half our party came through, on the other side of this. There are monsters in here that, that don't make any sense at all, rhyme or reason why they're in there. But it's a blast. There's some cool traps, of course, in this. But if you don't work together as players, and I mean, this is where you have to, as a DM, you really need to probably, say up front, hey, you guys got to work together. This is really, too, more in a sense where you want party balance of, you want that thief in the group for sure. You want, and even in the hidden shrine, from here on out, you want a thief in the group. You want a thief, you want some sort of tank character, you want a cleric, you want a mage. And if you add another person in these stories, or even have 6 players, whatever that might be, that's fine, whatever they want to play, but make sure, going in these things, you better have those 4 classes covered or you're going to die. I've already seen somebody go through White Plume Mountain or listen to them on YouTube, and all the characters died in the very first room. And what the biggest thing, they didn't bring a thief, they didn't have a cleric, and yeah, they all died. 8th level characters, 4 8th level characters died in the first room, which is crazy. But the group wasn't cooperating. I knew it was doomed from the beginning. I could tell just listening to the story as a DM. The next adventure in the book here is Dead and Fae. And this looks like a fun, super dungeon crawl with over 100 rooms in the Doom Vault. Characters should be about 9th level going in, and they should come out around 11th level or so. I have never seen this adventure before. I know it was, I believe, it came out, I know it came out in 2014. I think it was being test played with 5e, and then they put it in this. And so, I mean, that's probably going to take a long time to go through as a group. So if you have players, you got to, tell them up front, this is going to be a while. So now we're going to get into some of my other favorites. The next is Against the Giants. And like I said, this is really 3 adventures. You have Steeding of the Hill Giant Chief, the Glacier Rift of the Frost Giant Jarl, and Hall of the Fire Giant King. And really, Storm King's Thunder really kind of pays homage to these 3 old adventures from Gary Gygax. Steeding of the Hill Giant Chief is bittersweet to me. It's the first adventure that I ever DM'd, a module, I should say. The first module I ever DM'd. My DM back then, not current, but my DM back then, my friend's older brother, in junior high, he bought the adventure and said, "Hey, you run this, we're gonna play." The thing is he memorized the whole adventure, and it wasn't fun because he knew everything. He knew where the traps, anything, how to defeat the hill giants, and it wasn't fun for me as a DM because it just, before I realized that he memorized the whole thing, they had already just kind of crushed it. And that actually, too, changed me for the next couple of years. And I'm only 10 at the time, maybe 9 even, when I run this. And I from there, I started making my own adventures. So as a 10-year-old, I'm DMing and I'm making my own adventures. I went back as probably a 12 or 13-year-old with a different group of players and with another a DM that him and I would switch off. And we agreed in the sense of like the Hidden Shrine or the White Plume Mountains or any other published adventures that we would run back then. When we would play, we would take a back seat if we had already DM'd it or played in it. Whatever, we would take the back seat as not being a lead character, not giving away clues or riddles, answers to riddles, or clues on the traps. We would just play more of a supporting type character in those situations. So it was still a lot of fun going through those. But so yeah, that's stealing a hill giant chief. That's kind of where I broke my teeth as a DM. So it means a lot to me. Uh, Even though I have never ran my players through it over the years since, I've taken bits and pieces. I've actually used parts of the maps from the seeding of the hill giant with my players, but just changed things around. It could have been a knoll layer or something like that, and my players would never know, of course, that I was actually using a map of something else. Use a lot of maps out there from other DMs. Then the last but not least, the granddaddy of them all is Tomb of Horrors. And this is what I will say about the Tomb of Horrors. It's a party ender, a campaign killer. Everyone dies. It's just a matter of who makes it the farthest in it. But it's a rite of passage. But your character is going to die if your DM is doing it right. I will tell you this: I DM'd it first. I believe I DM'd it first, or I might have played it first, but I made it to like the second to the last room of the dungeon, and I died, and I was the last character left. And the other DM that was DMing this, like I said, when we would switch back and forth, in junior high. When he played through it, he made it to the final room, but died in the final room. And I don't know anybody, you know, over the 40 years I've played Dungeons and Dragons, actually survived this thing. At least the right way, if the DM didn't cheat and cheat the players. I don't know anybody that's made it through the Tomb of Horrors. It's just a rite of passage of going, how far can I make it through this thing before I die? And I mean, and like I said, it's a campaign killer. I've ran this in the sense where I'm like, okay, I want to end the campaign. This is the dungeon to do it. And for me to run my current players through it, and I do want to run them through it. Most of them have never experienced most of these adventures at all. I don't, to be honest, they probably haven't experienced any of them except maybe a couple of my older players. They've probably experienced a couple of these, but the younger generation hasn't, and that's kind of why I want to, start out with a group at first level and then just run these through. That way, there's no campaign type of attachment. They'll be attached to the characters, of course, because they're going to be playing them all the way, probably around 15th level or something like that when they get to the Tomb of Horrors. But I'm going to make sure that it's just not a campaign where, there's so much love for those characters. If I brought the Grey Guardians through, let's say, they're at 11th level right now, or average, 9th to 11th. If I ran these guys through Dead of Thay right now, and then all of a sudden the whole party dies, they're going to be pretty pissed. So I wouldn't do that to an existing campaign. So understand that, dungeon masters out there, if you think about running your campaigns and using one of these as a side track, uh, make sure that you tell the characters up front that they might lose a character, or at least they might have to get a character resurrected or two, or the whole group might get a total party kill. Like I said, you get to the Tomb of Horrors in this thing, it's probably TPK if the DM's doing the adventure justice. So that's kind of my review of the book. The book is, I think, around $50 at your local game store or bookstore. You can get it on Amazon for about $30, I believe. So take it as it's for its worth. I believe in supporting your local game stores if you have one. If you don't, go on Amazon and buy it. Is it worth to own? Yes, I mean, really, like I said, it pays homage to some very old dungeons. With Against the Giants and Tomb of Horrors being Gary Gygax's, Sunless Citadel being Bruce Cordall. The White Plume Mountain was actually an adventure written to get that writer into TSR back in the day to get in Gary Gygax's graces. So those all have some history behind them. And so just as a dungeon master, just owning the book, I think it's the right thing to do. Now, if you're not going to ever run these, well, then save your money. Um, and that's kind of all I have to say about the Tales from the Yawning Portal. I'm glad I bought it. I bought it more for nostalgia than anything. However, like I said, I will be. I've talked to I sent an email to my players today actually saying I'd like to run these in some very long sessions and going through each one of them with a set group of characters, and maybe only playing one every other month or something to do these and do long sessions. That's the one thing is, these are dungeon crawls, so you're not going to finish an adventure, any of these adventures, in 3 to 4 hours. I guarantee you that. You're gonna Sunless Citadel, I would say any of them. You're probably talking, you know, 8 hours, maybe more. Dead and Fey, boy, that could be, 48 hours of pure gaming, maybe even longer, with 100 rooms. So, if you're gonna run through these with your players, and as long as you're playing on a weekly basis, I think that's fine. But if you're meeting once every month, probably not the best thing, because the characters probably aren't going to remember where they left off, what room, what's next, and that could set them up for failure as well. Like I said, that once you get to the shrine and below, you better be very cooperative as player characters, or you're gonna face your doom. You can't have in White Plume Mountain. I remember this. You can't have the thief go right and the rest of the party go left, because one, either that thief is going to run around the corner and find some nasty monster and kill him outright, or the other set of the group is going to run into some deadly trap, and now they don't have a thief, and those three characters die, and now you have this thief running around for his own life. But they're fun. Like I said, these adventures are, in a sense, just fun to go through. Um, they're part of history, part of the D&D history, part of my history going way back when I started playing in 1977. 40 years ago. This June is when I started playing, right around my birthday, and so hopefully after my birthday I'll run one of these adventures for the group. So I'm going to sign out World of Hearthron. This is your Dungeon Master Bilbo with the Tales from the Yawning Portal review. Like I said, hopefully you'll have fun. Hopefully I've given you enough information to kind of decide if you want to purchase it or not. And remember, it's cool to be a geek. Pass it on. Happy gaming. And watch for us, the Grey Guardians, here out on Twitch. Come this Saturday evening, we will be playing another session. Let's see if our group can get their gold from the pits that they just fought in. See if they can acquire their gold before it might be arrested. We'll see. Good night.